There is just an ominousness to the way African parents move, and it's something that needs to be studied. It needs to be studied extremely. And when I say African parents, I'm speaking specifically in my general perspective to Nigerian parents because this is the household in which I grew up. Patterns are extremely safe in a Nigerian household, but let's talk about the fact that it is only safe because at first it was literally ominous as fuck. I remember the day when I was random day, just, literally just got out of the shower, putting on lotion. My mother opens the fucking door in the middle of me putting on fucking lotion. And this woman thinks that I'm summoning demons or some shit. I'm not even joking. This is literally what I'm getting my ass beat for. Literally having to be on my knees going up and down the hallway for. And to think in the moment I was literally cutting her slack. Like, I'm literally in a red towel. I was trying to rub the facing on my hand or whatever lotion it was. I don't even freaking remember. I was literally cutting her fucking slack. What kind of, you see, children. Yeah, let me calm down.
On you fall on you, banana fall on you, Prada fall.
That in itself is an entire background story, but there's different degrees to this shit. But at the end of the day, it is something that is very evident in the sense that these are people who do not see themselves. They do not see themselves so much to the point that they think that you are them, and because they don't see themselves, because they don't like themselves, because of the things that they've gone through, that they're now putting you through, because it's the same fucking pattern. But the thing is that as children, as human beings in general, naturally we know that foreign, bad, familiar, good. So naturally, in the circumstance of a home that is abusive, we find ourselves feeling the need to learn our parents to a T in order to survive. So in the sense of finally knowing them so much that we don't know ourselves, but we can read them down in order to know when that it's, safe and when it's not, we end up finding comfort in this pattern of surveillance, this pattern, and we have lived it so much that it's engraved in who we are, or rather who we think we are. So in this video, I'm going to be reading my little note. This is part 1 because I'm not joking. We're going down to the roots of this. We're breaking this down to literally the mechanics of how it works before we even get into the whole nature of the household in itself and the dynamics and everything. We're going down to the root, right? We're breaking it down to the fucking atomic level. I started this video saying there is something ominous about African parents, but let's zoom out for a second because our understanding of them is just that, ours. Well, mine technically, but I'm assuming that we have some common grounds, hence why you're still watching this. But anyways, we sometimes forget that we are all human beings, all experiencing different aspects of God's creation, meaning no two beings share the same perspective, the same reality. The only thing allowing us to have an understanding of each other is simply language, communication. This is extremely important to remember for later, okay? What does this tell us exactly? That the only thing that we ever know is what we are thinking. So whatever you're thinking someone is or could be is really what you think you are. Doesn't mean it is what you are, but it's simply what you think you are. But if you're thinking that is what you are, then that is technically how you're navigating the world and what you actually believe you are, so therefore it's what you are, but for you. Now remember, I said earlier that sometimes our parents see us as them. As we all know, this is called projection. When I first realized this, I started to really think about all the abusive sessions I felt like I was being forced to engage in, and all the times I couldn't even bring myself to ask for simple $2 for a vending machine without practicing 1,566,000 times in my freaking head, as if we weren't sending $10 billion every single week to the village to build a mansion that was still sitting as a pile of sand in the middle of the compound. You start to see through the insecurities, the pain, the blindness disguised as authority, and the trauma painted as safety. Just a bunch of puppets performing, thinking that they're living. And usually this should instill a sense of anger. And I say should, but I don't really mean should. But it was just a natural way I thought when I first realized this, but suddenly it just made me sad. It just made me feel bad. Not guilty, but just sad. But there's just so much beauty in it because it's all just self-induced. And it's just wondrous to think, wow, you could literally just stop, but we're just biting ourselves. Anyways. And once you see it, you can't unsee it or unhear it, because suddenly you start to separate your parents' voice from your thoughts. When you feel guilty for your own efforts, you realize that it's because someone made them feel less. I started to realize that when I'd get thoughts and aspirations, things that excited me, I wanted to do, I immediately met them with thoughts like, how is that going to better my future? Without even just pausing to think, what exactly do I think the betterment of my future is? Because I was living through lenses and goggles of someone else's depiction of what success and future should look like. So whenever I felt that zing of pure passion about the things that I wanted to do, I felt guilty. When I wanted to address an expression of how I truly felt from the confidence that I was trying to get myself to see, I couldn't help but see and hear who I am through the echoes of my perceptions of myself through my mother's eye. And that shit trains you until you see it as it is, and suddenly it's just hilarious. The lack of respect and freedom, the way they hate the idea of you having friends, or at least it seems that way, because it's all them. Think about it. They don't even give their own selves freedom. They think freedom is the things that they attain to show others that should be their friends. It all goes back to this: they don't have friends because they just see everything as an opportunity to confirm to themselves that they are not what they truly fear that they are, which is only further driving them into where they truly don't want to be, because they have confused fractures of reality to be all that is, therefore holding them bound. And naturally, when you cling to something that is familiar, something finite, you fear things that are to come, forgetting that it's still you. It's still you. Just because it's unknown doesn't mean it's gonna hurt you. We are, as sentient beings, that is the gift, one of the many gifts bestowed upon us. That understanding that we can be so much as what we let ourselves be. And us being here is just supposed to be unpacking that, which is what we are doing. But there are just better ways around it than the way we're doing it right now. They think freedom is calling you all the way from Brazil to come get the remote control that is literally in their freaking hand. That's freedom to them. Like how children can't comprehend why you're not giving them that third bowl of ice cream, and how a woman in ovulation cannot resist the constant thought of the things that are lingering in her mind, despite the fact that she is not in the position to have a child at this time. These category of parents view their freedom, their idea of freedom. So when they see you within your waking reality going about life in a different direction, a different way, you're trying to stay away from that. It is something that they genuinely fear on a fundamental level. And this is not something that I'm saying to cast a sense of, to take the humanity, the sense of being from them. It is to call it out as it is, because within this same category of parents, there are people who you can simply point this to and it doesn't click for them. They immediately follow down that pipeline of thinking this is literally what it is, and you voicing against it means you are being the opposing side, evil in a sense, the bad guy. That's just simply what you are. You're not listening to the truth that they're telling you, but all you're telling them is their perspective is cool, but it's only starting to get irritating because you're trying to put it on other people. To reflect that to them is that they can't accept that. They don't understand the concept of what they're doing only being done by them, and it's not the only way things can be done. It's all basically conditioning, getting what they think they lost in their childhood by doing what was done to them by their parents or other people in their life before you. They pretend then to cast out demons left and right, putting on the most worthy of winning every single Oscar and Emmy category nominations there ever could be. But the real demons, the real devil, is eating away at the light of the family, at the light that has been holding and neutralizing the generations from the root, springing up into what we believe is now. But it's all always been. But the simple forgetting of what freedom is, replacing the true definition of freedom, which is no definition, with slavery, oh, that is where separation is born and where the demons begin to breed. And this all goes further back than our camel mind could ever understand, in the sense that when I say back, I don't mean back in the way that we have been taught to understand back, because this is not a sense of linearity that we are talking about. But in order for us to be able to put it into context and bring forth a change within our current waking life, we obviously need to put it in a way that our physical, finite, linear, measurable, tangible lives can, understand. Because it's not our job to try to make sense of the future, because we do not know. We do not know. But the past is where we can make whatever changes, because neither of these things exist. That is where our power lies. The understanding that true freedom is to remove all conclusive thoughts of what we think anything is, especially at the place and time we are in reality, this shared reality right now. That's why I'm embarking upon this journey. And I feel like if we took the time that we are investing into things that we don't even really care about, when we start to cast out these beliefs, because beliefs are the entities driving force that therefore attach themselves to our emotions and live out through us, and we wonder why we feel drained, or we feel like we're living someone else's life. This is where the true generational curses lie. So when I call them ominous, it is true, but only from the point of view of a victim. The point of view that leads you down the "my parents never did this for me, be grateful" pipeline. It's true. But it's time to burn this family line to the ground and build it back up. These are children. These are dying children. But they are crying. They just are simply unaware of it. The ignorance, the sins breeding into these demonic, negative emotions flowing by creating hostility blinds them from this, like a black hole that cannot be filled, as they do not feel anything anymore. They look for a vice, a medium, a vessel, another vessel, because we're all vessels. But that emptiness, that hunger, cannot be filled. And naturally, they look to the light and they try to live through you. And this is not to put this sense of nature and look at it through an evil sense in the way that we understand evil, but it's just to call a spade so we can figure out if we want it to stay a spade or if we want to transform it to something we feel will be better for us at this certain time. And what do I mean when I say they cannot feel themselves? They cannot feel themselves, therefore they cannot feel anything. By yourself, I don't mean you in the way that you understand you as in the avatar, the figure that you see in the mirror, the figure that you see in the pictures when you take pictures of yourself. That is simply a crystallized version of what is truly going on up here. When I say up here, I don't mean up in the way that you understand up, I don't mean here in the way that you understand here. It is everything, everywhere, all at once, but because you are simply a reflection of a single aspect of that everything, everywhere, all at once, you are limited to how much you can truly digest, especially putting into context the world in which you have made yourself come into, in a sense. But this is just stuff that the way we understand language sort of, we've made it in a way that it's sort of hindering us from seeing the truth, but it's still all there. So they eat away in their mind, because this is all a mind thing. Nothing is happening but what you think is happening, so therefore that is what is happening. They eat away at the essence of the other quote-unquote individual, in this scenario, their child. These parents are dying children. They are desperately wanting to live, but all they think they know is all they think they've known. And you're probably like, Purple, are you trying to make excuses for them? And the answer is no. We all know the classic "I'm grateful for the abuse my parents put me through" indoctrination speech that the parents always give right after reliving the experience through you. Yes, if you don't know, that is literally what that whole thing is, if you didn't know that. It took me a hot forever to clock that, but anyways, I beat you because I love you is how they usually, start that off, at least until you're about 13 or so, whatever age it is, when it gets kind of embarrassing to admit to anyone, especially friends, oh my god, that you are your parents' personal stress ball. At this point, you might be getting slapped for forgetting to bring out the chicken or whatever random thing that people definitely do on purpose. Yes, they go out of their way to make it seem like you do it on purpose, while coming up with the most descriptive, very much America's Got Talent winning insults ever. And things that, upon doing it, they literally just act like you're supposed to just act like it's where it's all rainbows and sunshine and beauty. Like they didn't just, scrape your entire, ego off your fucking face. But this, I don't know, it's a whole mess, bro. But I can't believe things like this are done within what we call culture, and we just laugh about it. We make little jokes about it, and I guess it's beautiful in a way, but to do that without truly addressing it to the core is what is literally inducing our suffering even more. And all we do is just sit around and complain and expect for everything to fix itself, for us to wake up one day and Africa would just truly manifest as the giant that it truly is. Anyways, we haven't sat with how toxic it is that parents automatically and defaultly place an entire personality and everything that they think that makes up upon you before you can even get the chance to discover who you are, being forced into segments and philosophies of life disguised as ultimate truths, career choices, the idea of what career truly is and what it even means for you, just completely entangled into who you are before you can even realize who you are for yourself. And upon that, to make you live under surveillance to the point where you feel like you need to calculate the intensity of the air, when it's not okay to say certain things, when it's not okay to be yourself. That shit is not normal. We live it, we lived it, and we are convinced that it is, but it is not. And to have the guts to show up to Sunday service and act all holy. It's insane work. I really had a lot of fun making this video and putting it together. I hope it finds the people that it's meant for. I can't wait to get into the next video where we sort of pull back a bit off of the, we've brought in the fact that we are talking specifically about, the culture of who we are that we have been somehow conditioned to lose, but we're going to go into the mechanics of it that really works for everyone. It's sort of zooming out more, but at the same time it's zooming in. But yeah, thank you so much for watching part 1 of patterns are safe.